Yes.
You're welcome back from that short commercial break. As always, we are grateful for your company. A pension is a fund that receives contributions throughout an employee's employment, from which the payments are taken in form of recurring payments to support the employee's retirement from work. In the coffee court tonight, Urubra gives us an insight in the retirement benefits scheme.
Well, it's a pleasure and thank you for joining us on this coffee court where we ask the critical questions. Most importantly, questions that matter. And this time round, we talk about savings. I know many times, many of us save our money. We never get to know whether the money reaches the right people. So in such circumstances, what do we do and how do we avoid this? Of course, definitely to help us digest this is Doris Kahura. He's a senior legal officer here at the Uganda Retirement Benefit Regulatory Authority. Doris, thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure, Fred.
What do you do as UBRA, first and foremost?
Well, our mandate as UBRA is to regulate the retirement benefit sector, which you know is composed of the public service scheme, and it also has the mandatory schemes such as NSSF, which majority of the employed people in Uganda fall under. We also have occupational schemes that are run and established by employers who feel that over and above NSSF, we should save more for our employees.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's first and foremost begin with the taxation policy regarding our topic of discussion, which is retirement. What does the policy say about retirement?
Well, for retirement, the Constitution says that all pensions and retirement benefits are not supposed to be taxed. However, at the point of investment, that is when your deductions and contributions are being placed into the different schemes, they will be subjected to a taxation, and then even the investment income from those from the contributions. Let's say if your scheme has contributed and decided to invest in a treasury bond, they've invested in equities, buying shares in companies, the income that comes from those various investments is taxed. However, at the point of payout, when you reach the retirement age and you are being paid your accrued benefits, then the total sum of your accrued benefits will not be taxed at that point.
Okay.
It will be exempt.
Let me go straight now to the core issue. I don't know if you've worked with a private company. I have worked with private companies. Many times we save our money and we are not sure whether our money gets to the right places and to the right people. Maybe has this happened to you?
Yes, it has, definitely. It has.
What's your experience?
Well, my experience has been there are some employers who will deduct money from you. You know you're getting a gross maybe of X amount, and your money comes as a net. So meaning some money has been deducted to be taken maybe to NSSF and to pay your tax. However, you'll find that you're not getting a statement. You're not getting a statement that is updated. The statement that NSSF gives you or your scheme will be giving you seems to have last been updated maybe 6 months ago, 3 months ago. So that is already a red flag. And it shows you that whereas people have been deducting, your company has been deducting money, they have not been actually remitting it or paying it to NSSF or the scheme that you belong to. So what do you do when you get such a red flag? My experience has been I first of all talk to the accounts people. What's happening? First talk to your employer. Was this money deducted? When are you remitting? If they are not forthcoming, there's always an opportunity for you to report directly to an NSSF office. Luckily, NSSF has different branches as well as a head office, so you're able to lodge a complaint from NSSF. Once you're not satisfied with NSSF, then currently you can come to UBRA, where we have a complaints handling unit.
So you seem to be saying reducting money is different from remission.
Yes,
is
sir.
it what you're suggesting?
Yes, sir.
Why is the difference?
The difference is usually when you get your appointment letter, now I want to be more practical. When you
Please.
get your appointment letter, there will be a certain amount of money that is stated as your gross pay. So once every month when you're being paid, they are supposed to pay you less the NSSF contribution. And in this case, you're supposed to, the employer should deduct 5% from your gross pay, and they should, and the employer also has a mandate to contribute 10% over and above the 5% they deduct from you. So that in itself is just the first step of compliance by your employer.
Okay.
Yes. Once they deduct, then they need to take the second step, which is to pay to the NSSF payment modes. They have different modes in which they can pay.
So there's deduction and there's remission. So
Yes, sir.
when do I tell that my money has reached my savings? I am now being particular, either
Yes.
with the scheme, which is UBRA, or with the Uganda National Social Security Fund. So when do I know that my money, which has been deducted, has actually reached the right account?
Okay. So when at the point of deduction, the law requires that this money that has been deducted is remitted by the 15th day of the next month. So in this case, if you were paid the October salary, by the 15th of November, the company that pays your salary should have now gotten what they deducted and paid it into the accounts of NSSF or the scheme that you belong to. Yeah.
Why the 15 days? Why not immediately?
The 15 days is to give an allowance because different companies have different days in which they pay salary. Some may pay on the 25th, some may pay on the 30th. So these 15 days are to allow the company to get itself in order, because it's usually a process, you know, getting the payroll in order, ensuring that the right amount of money has been verified on the payroll, and then later on they deduct the money. So it's just to give the employer time to comply.
That is if the company is consistent with the debts and
Yes.
also with payments. I know
That's
there are many companies that are struggling
That's
as
true.
a result of many other factors. So whom do I go to if I want to know that the money, yes, has reached the right people? As a local Ugandan, whom do I run to?
Usually when the money hits the account, maybe I forgot to say that usually if it's NSSF, you may get an SMS or a notification of sorts that tells you that, hey, a certain this specific amount, X amount of money has been credited to your NSSF account. For other occupational schemes, they may give you an SMS alert, or every month there's an arrangement for you to get a statement, because that is part of the right of having access to information. As a member, you're supposed to know that, okay, this is the rate in which, this is the amount of money that's deducted from me every month, and this is how much I have accumulated. So that's why every scheme, such as NSSF and the other occupational schemes, will be mandated or required to give you a monthly statement. For some schemes like NSSF, they'll have a website. You can log in, put your NSSF number, phone number, and then you'll be able to see a screen showing you how much has been paid into your account over the months of the year or over the years. For other schemes, sometimes NSSF actually gives you an email if you avail your email address, and they'll give you a scanned copy of your statement. So those are the different ways in which you can monitor your statement.
You seem to be speaking to people in the urban areas. To talk to my grandmother, who is right in the village. Is this really possible?
It is possible because, you see, Even the grandmothers in the village may be employed in, some of them may be employed in companies.
They
that
can't
register
access a
with
mail,
NSSF.
maybe they cannot be in position to access a notification.
True, but something about these different schemes is most people have mobile phones. At least I know even your grandmother must be having a mobile phone. So what most of the schemes are doing these days is you have access to information through your mobile phone, and you can get alerts of SMS alerts. And if you're not satisfied with what is on your statement, or if you have a query, there will always be a number that you can contact on your phone, on your mobile phone. Or you can even access, for instance, the biggest scheme right now is NSSF. NSSF has an array of branches. You'll go to Fort Portal, you'll find a branch, you go to Jinja. There are several branches, even in Kampala itself. You won't find only a branch you'll not only be able to interact with NSSF at their head office. They'll have different areas in Mukono where they have different offices. So you walk in with your card, your membership number. If you belong to NSSF, if you belong to another scheme, you'll be able to contact your trustees and ask them for information concerning the benefits. If you have a query with underpayment, unpayment, whatever the query is, your right as a member is to get information, and you can get it from your trustee. In the case of bigger schemes like NSSF, you go to the offices where they have.
And then you can be helped. Those joining us on the coffee court, we address most of the critical questions. I know many of you out there, you've reached retirement, and by the time you run to the schemes or the NSSF, the only language that welcomes you is that there is no money. And Doris Kahura, the senior legal officer, says it is really possible for us to get this money. What does the law say about this? And if I am not in position to have access to my money, or my money is not there, what do I do?
Okay, now there are several instances in which someone may access their money. Usually it's at the point of retirement when you are allowed access to your money. But currently, as you are aware, the law was amended, and there is something called midterm access.
Okay.
So when you have served with NSSF in particular for 10 years, and you've made about 120 deposits onto your account, then you'll be able to access even up to 20% of what you have accrued.
That's with the new law.
That's with the new law. But aside from that type of benefit, there are other benefits. Sometimes someone will die before the retirement age. That is a survivor's benefit. That is under the NSSF law. So in that case, the people who are beneficiaries, in this case, you may have nominated people with NSSF, or you may have left a will that says, you know what, these are the people, this person is in charge of all my property, to administer my property. Some people die even before a will. So your family members who have letters of administration will be able to access the survivor's benefit, which is all the money that has been saved on your behalf by your employer, your various employers under NSSF. There is also the point of retirement. You've reached the 55 years, and you need to vacate, or you want to access your benefits and use them and plan accordingly for your future. So in that case, there are certain procedures in the NSSF Act and regulations where you will need to go to the NSSF office, show them that I've reached retirement age, and I need to be able to access my benefits. So you fill in the necessary forms, and you'll be able to access your money. If you have a challenge with accessing your benefits, there is a procedure. NSSF has a complaints procedure.
Where is it?
It is on their website. You're able to file a complaint on their website. But for those who are not able, as you mentioned earlier, that some people are in remote areas or simply don't know how to use websites and that kind of technology, you still have access to an NSSF office where you can go and lodge your complaint and say, you know what, I have challenges, I retired, I have put in my application, but
it's not
working out.
How often can I do this to get this notification? How often can I ask for this notification?
You mean the notification for the...
For me to know how much I've saved?
Oh.
Yes.
For you to be able to know how much you've saved, usually you're able to register. You can go and register with NSSF and say, you know what, send me an SMS notification on this number. It comes on a monthly basis. Each time your account is credited, they'll tell you this amount of money has been credited.
Okay.
At least that is what, as I am also a member of NSSF, and has been my experience.
Okay.
If you choose to go the technology route and say, I want an email, then you can give them your email address and then they'll be able to give it to you on a monthly basis. However, there will be instances, unfortunately, where some people's benefits are not paid. So once their benefits are not paid, definitely they won't get an alert on their phone or an alert on their email. And now that's when you should go and probe the NSSF office. Or if you belong to an occupational scheme, probe your trustees. These trustees are people like you and me, and they should be put to task to answer why you're not getting notifications. Or if you've reached retirement age and you submitted your forms and you want your money to be paid, they should be put to task. Even NSSF itself should be put to task as to why your benefits have not been paid, yet you filled in the form. In case you're not satisfied with the NSSF answer, you can come to UBRA. We have a complaints desk, and then we can help you to address that issue.
Such issues.
Yes.
You are privileged that you work with government. Some people work with the private sector, and the things you're talking about, I dream. If I'm working with an institution and all they tell me, we have put your money in the NSSF, and yet in the actual sense, you know, they are not paying. So what do you do in such a situation?
Well, NSSF has a whistleblowers policy. So do these other occupational schemes, and so does UBRA. UBRA is the regulator of NSSF and all those other occupational schemes. So once you receive information like that, because that is very critical information to your future.
And it is happening. I know you are aware.
Yes, it's happening, Fred. So what you need to do is write, if you are afraid of, let's say you're still working with these people and you're afraid of being terminated, you can write an anonymous letter to the CEO, to the managing director of NSSF, and you inform them that, you know what, I work for this particular company, I have been employed for this amount of time, maybe this number of years. However, I have never received a statement in respect to this. And maybe if you know of your colleagues who have the same query, you can say, I know of this number of colleagues who have a similar challenge.
Okay.
NSSF has the mandate under the law to actually go after and investigate this particular employer who's not complying. And we can also support in the issue of compliance. We have a supervision team that is able to carry out investigations and come up with a remedial plan so that your employer actually satisfies the demand of the law and remits that money within a certain period of time.
Okay. By the way, what do you do with our money when we begin to save? You've heard of people say, we reached the point during COVID and said, Sente Zaffe, President Museveni yazikoze. You've heard people say, government has used our savings. Is that the right?
It's not right. The OBRA Act and regulations prescribe a certain form of investment of the money that is saved with the different schemes, both mandatory and the occupational schemes. NSSF subscribes to these particular regulations, and they show what can be invested in and what is restricted and cannot be invested in. For instance, if it's a speculative kind of investment like Bitcoin, that sort of thing, there's a restriction in the law that cannot be a viable investment of the schemes. So the trustees, NSSF, by the way, has a board of trustees, so do the other schemes.
But
so
is
the
it
trustees are empowered to come up with an investment policy, then follow that policy. But that investment policy should be as per the law.
But is it true that government uses our money?
No, government does not use your money. Government maybe is one of the viable investments for schemes or for trustees of a scheme, because the central bank, for instance, the most common investment in this sector, in the retirement benefit sector, is treasury bonds and bills.
Okay.
So you'll find that because they are secure, and there's usually there's most likely a guarantee, a strong guarantee that government will pay. Even with the change of regimes, there will always be a repayment. And bonds can be as low as 5 years or 10 years of an investment. So when the NSSF, for instance, gets maybe 1 trillion shillings and buys bonds, this money is not given to government. It's a form of lending to government, but it is going to get back that money as a scheme. NSSF will get back that money with an interest after a specific period of time, say 5 years and onwards.
Maybe next time when we meet, we'll talk about issues of bonds, which I know, treasury bills, which I know is one of those critical. Your parting shots as we plan to wind up.
Well, my parting shots are members are the most important people, members of the different schemes, NSSF, and the various occupational schemes. You're the most important people in the retirement benefits sector. UBRA exists to protect your rights, and you know your rights are to access information. Your rights are to get equal treatment. You know you shouldn't be marginalized in the different schemes you belong to. However little or however much you are saving with the different schemes, UBRA is there to protect whatever is being deducted from your earnings. And we are here to ensure that whatever is being invested is secure, and it can, and we put the different stakeholders like your trustees to task to answer to different issues concerning how much are they spending, in the scheme, how much have they returned, have they reported on the returns from the investments, that sort of thing. So we are here for you as UBRA. We are not far from you, and don't relax when you see your money is being deducted and you're not really sure about where it is going. You should empower yourself by going to the right offices and ensure that you get the information you need. That is your right.
Doris Kahura, thank you for sparing time and speaking to us, especially on matters regarding savings. Of course, she's a senior legal officer here at the Uganda Retirement Benefit Regulatory Authority. And if there are things you shouldn't play with, please do not play with people's money. My name is Fred Makubia, and this is the Coffee Court.
That insightful conversation leads us to the end of business today. As always, it's always a pleasure of your time. And if you missed this, there's a link where you could stream on YouTube at Smart24 TV and more. Keep up to date with our Twitter and Facebook handles for more business updates. My name is RONAH NAHABWE with Winnie Williams and Nakauchi on the sign language interpretation. Have a good night.